Hey, Steve Stine from Guitar Zoom here, and if I had to choose one riff for me that kind of defines a lot of the 80s, it would be the 2 Minutes to Midnight style riff. And what I want to do is explain to you the riff itself, but I also want to talk about how this riff or this idea on the guitar spawned just dozens of different songs. So let's just take a look at this once. Real quick, let's just look at this riff. We're going... Now, the trick to this riff is that you're separating the 5th string from the 4th and 3rd strings. Okay? So we're doing palm muting on the 5th string, and then we're going to play chords on the 4th and 3rd strings. Okay? And what we're doing here is playing 5th fret on the 4th and 3rd strings. So I'm doing 2 palm mutes and then I'm strumming. And I'm just strumming the 4th and 3rd strings. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to play 2 zeros, palm muted on the 5th string, and then play those 2 7s. Now you could use different fingers if you want to, or whatever works for you. It's perfectly fine. Okay, so I'm going 5, 7, 5, 7, 7. I'm strumming it twice, so it looks like this. Now sometimes what I'll do, you'll notice I'm using my 1st finger for the 5s, and then I'll use my 3rd and 4th for the 7s. And the reason I like to do that sometimes is if I'm going to add a little bit of vibrato, I find it easier to add it if I'm using 2 different fingers as opposed to 1 finger like that. And again, it doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you. That's the most important thing. But that's how I like to do it. So I'll play this 5 with my 1st finger, and then those 2 7s with, or these 2 5s with my 1st finger, and these 2 7s with my 3rd and pinky. Now, if I wasn't playing this song and there wasn't a spot for vibrato right there, I may not be using those fingers. I might just be, moving 1 finger around or using my 1st and 3rd, or something like that, which we're going to get to in just a second. So with this song in particular, I'm going, and then I'm going to do the same thing, but the last time I'm going to move down to A, just the A power chord, and strum it twice. Now, when I get to that A, oftentimes I won't just strum the 4th and 3rd strings, I'll actually strum the 5th string along with it, because it's part of an A chord. So I'm going... Okay? Now, more importantly than the song itself, 2 Minutes to Midnight by Iron Maiden, more important than that is the fact of being able to separate the palm muting of this 5th string from the strumming of the 4th and 3rd strings. Because, again, like I said, this has spawned many, many, many different songs. And what I want to show you, like if I played this. Right, like Livewire by Motley Crue. That's using those 5s and those 7s as well. Just a different order, okay? Or if I did, let's go back to the 70s, if I did this. Now I've got this 2, 4, 5, and I'm doing 1 single palm mute in between. So I'm going 2, 2, palm mute, 4, and then palm mute, and then 5, 5. Now again, you'll see now I'm using my middle and 3rd. There's no rhyme to or reason why I do these things. It just feels comfortable to me. So, I don't rely on well, anytime I'm playing the 3rd and 4th strings together, I have to use 1 finger, or it's just whatever feels most comfortable at the time. So when I'm doing, I wind up on these 2 fingers and it feels just fine to me. So again, for you, you got to figure out what organically works the best for you. And then what we're going to do is add one more palm mute afterwards. And then what he does is he goes 2-4 with no palm mute in between. And then a palm mute, then the 5. And that's how the rhythm changes. So you have da 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 dum. And anytime there's a pause in between, that's where you're putting a palm mute. Dun dun da dun da da dun. Right? So okay. Or let's take Megadeth, for instance, Skin in My Teeth. Okay, now that one's starting off doing this 0-7, which is a little different, so I'm just playing these two together, and then I'm going, so I'm going strum, mute, mute, strum, mute, mute, strum, mute, mute, mute. And that sets up the, and you'll notice there I'm playing 5s, and then I'm playing these 7s, but I'm giving them a bend. And then back to the 5s. So I have, and then you go back to the 0. So you have, okay, which leads to, Metallica and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it goes on, and that's my point is, what I want you to think about, you've got all these different songs that you could look at learning how to play, which I think is wonderful. But from a songwriting perspective, if you begin to understand how important this is to get that kind of 80s feel, whether it's 80s rock, 80s metal, 70s rock, which we see in Cat Scratch Fever, and there's a million other songs I could show you that are like this. Not a million, but a lot. It's just a really cool thing. This is where we get, a lot of Doc and stuff and things like that. So learning to understand that this idea of palm muting on the 5th string and then playing various shapes on the 4th and 3rd strings, and we can call these shapes right now, we'll call these blocks, which we're really just playing 5s and 7s and 2s and different things like that. But, I mean, there's other songs that do different things as well, which just be aware of that. So here's a few different things for you to explore, have some fun with, some riffs, really popular riffs to play. But then go off on your own a little bit and see if you can make some cool stuff with this idea. Okay? I always like to try and show people the bigger picture, not just how to play something, but how to actually, 2 things. Number 1, use it in your own playing. And number 2, identify it so if you hear it again in a song from an ear training perspective, you kind of know what to expect. It's pretty cool.